let me introduce you to today's presenter. Described as an international black belt in conference sales by her clients, I'm delighted to welcome Kira Feely, author of Steps to Win in the Meetings Market, to our series of educational webinars. Kira has developed a Steps to Win program specifically for hotels and venues. It's a map of how meeting planners buy and what steps they take to help them make a decision on which venue to book for their events. Kira will share a few of those steps with us today and in a series of webinars we have designed for 2018 to help you win a lot more conference, meetings and training business. So with that, I'm very excited to hand over to today's presenter, Kira Feely. Thanks, Kira.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm thrilled and delighted that so many of you have taken the time to join us. It is always an honor when somebody gives us their time, and I want to very much respect that. So in the next hour of your life, I want to share with you some very simple, practical, and very implementable strategies on how to win a lot more conference, meeting, and event business, because that's what it's all about, right? And yes, my name is Kira Feely, and I love my work because all day long I get to work with hotels and venues such as you to show them how to win a lot more business. And I do that by showing them how to build some power moves with the meeting planner. Now, today in particular, I want to show you how to build one really essential power move in this industry, and that is how to build trust. We'll just go right over to the slides now and we'll walk you through a few of those key strategies. An essential part to all of our work is to build trust with the meeting planner, because it's the key between a sale and no sale, or how much or how little conference, meeting, or event business you are going to win. And when you think about it, in our industry, it's really the foundation stone. Because when a meeting planner books with you or decides to engage with your venue, they essentially are giving you their reputation. And you know yourself, it takes years to build a reputation. They're also essentially giving you the reputation and the brand of their company. And brands cost hundreds and thousands, if not millions, to build. So a wrong venue choice can do a lot of damage, and to these, reputations or to this brand. Now, this fear of loss of reputation or brand is always there. A planner will never verbalize that to you and say it in those words, but it is always there. So in order to overcome this fear of a loss of reputation or brand, we must build higher levels of trust and confidence in order to win and earn their business and earn their time even to get a conversation with the planner. So if you want to fill your venue 7 days a week for the next year and years to come, then stay tuned in and join in the conversation, because you too have a lot of expertise. But I want to share with you what I learned in my 10 years of being on the venue sales side, but then most importantly, when I went to the other side, when I became an agent and a planner, I got to see the bird's eye view of how a planner thinks and buys. And they think and buy in a very different way than what I had been trained to do in my hotel sales days. Now, a big problem, folks, that I'm seeing in the industry is that the planner is not believing your team's sales and marketing pitch. And I know that this is devastating. I know in my days, I would have been saying, Kira, or what do you mean they're not believing me? But you can see it in the world out there, folks, that there is a higher levels of distrust between our politicians, between our banking system, and in particular in when people are making decisions on what to buy. So what can we do? Well, we must build more authentic sales and marketing strategies and more believable messages so that the planner will engage with us and importantly give us their time. It's harder and harder to earn that all important conversation with a planner, and in particular the face-to-face time. So how can we do that? Well, being more relevant to our clients is an essential way, and communicating with them more effectively. Now, some of you may have attended the IACC Connect conference in New York in 2016. I spoke at it with Thomas Waddell, and he shared this analogy, this story, which I have his permission to reshare with you. But let's imagine for a minute that you have been invited to your boss's house for dinner, and you know that they like a good bottle of wine, and you want to make the right impression and get that right bottle of wine. Now you rush into a wine shop, and you're faced with this massive choice, and you're wandering around, if you're anything like me, wondering, oh, what's going to be the right bottle of wine? What's the right bottle of wine that's going to impress my boss? And you're trying to make a decision based on what country the wine is from, based on what price it is, perhaps, hoping that if you spend enough, that it will be the right bottle of wine. Okay, and let's imagine then, that this is the terminology, this is what the seller, the words that they are using to help you make a decision. Red, dry, full-bodied, spicy, rich, or French. I don't know about you, but this doesn't really help me to make a decision on that right bottle of wine. Let's imagine then that you walk into the Bottle Rocket in Upper New York City, in Upper Manhattan there, and you have a selection of wines that have been chosen and presented to you as a suggestion, as a gift for the boss. How relieved do you feel? And how smart is this? Because this wine store are making it easy for you to say yes. They're making it easy for you to spend your money with them. And I even love how niche they've got. If you notice over here on the left-hand side, they have suggested wines for the third date. So let's move on, guys, and let's look at the industry lingo. That is what the seller is using to try and get you to buy a bottle of wine, to spend your money with them. Dry, full-bodied, red, spicy, French. But what the buyer is thinking and what the buyer would say is, I just want a bottle of wine that's going to impress my boss. So you see the conflict here, you see the difference in communication. So for a minute, guys, let's look at the common language in our industry. How often do you read a great experience, a memorable experience, a unique venue, exceeding expectations, perhaps a leading hotel or venue, an ideal venue? If you are selling that you have a convenient or great location, you are selling yourself short. You need to unravel that another little bit. And if you are talking about how your great location can help the planner to get more attendees at their event, then now you're talking the language of the customer and you are being a lot more relevant. I have searched and trawled thousands of websites in our industry when I developed the module on how to create a conference-friendly website. And these are the phrases that are out there. And these are the phrases that are confusing the client or perhaps commoditizing our industry. And I guess my point is, if everybody is using these words, How can you stand out? How can you differentiate yourself and have a more relevant conversation with your planner? So we need to be more relevant and to communicate in the language of your client. Now, this was something that I found very hard to see when I was in hotel sales. And I was good. I was very good. I always exceeded my budgets and all of the rest. But it was only when I went to the other side that I developed that insight on how to think like the planner. Ultimately, what we're building here, guys, is a community, and trust is a very strong foundation stone that ultimately builds a strong community or a tribe or your fans. It's raving fans that we really need to be creating in our industry. So let me ask you guys, let's participate here. There's a lot of really great knowledge and expertise on the call, and Kate and Mark, please help me here with the answers that we are receiving. But let me ask you, what are the lead generation
surroundings and accommodations for up to 600 guests?
that are working for you in this industry? Is it direct sales calls? Is it attending trade shows? Please just type in the little chat box there in the Q&A box what's working for you. Is it the IACC website that as a lead generation website? Is it third-party agencies? There's a lot of dependence in our industry on third-party agents. Is it lead generation websites such as Cvent and Venue Directory? Is it email campaigns? LinkedIn, we're starting to see that, and other social media campaigns a lot more, such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So perhaps, you know, share what is working for you, and let's see what perhaps is there a commonality as to what is working for the 100 or so hotels and venues that are on the website. Are you seeing what's happening there, Kate or Mark, in the chat box?
So Chiara, this is Mark. Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Hi, Mark.
Hi there. So
Yep.
A little bit coming in from one which is from Venue Directory, which is one of the European publications. Also referrals, the power of referrals as well is coming up.
Yes.
Kathy is adding direct sales. We're getting third parties coming up. So yeah, there's some definite direct sales threads coming in here. Also Cvent, local CVBs are powerful as well. Interestingly, Matthew Hancock says, you know, mostly from word of mouth and people attending a separate event at the venue. So that word of mouth having put on a great meeting experience.
That's fabulous, and that's very, very powerful. Those will always be the easier leads to convert. Thank you for that. So folks, what I've learned is that clients really don't care about your venue, as hard as that may be to hear. They care about their problems. So we must really zone in and focus on them, and of course know intimately what they are. Because it's not about how you want to sell, it's about how the planner wants to buy. And so we must refocus and redirect all of our efforts to all of our sales efforts to how the client wants to buy. And I see companies investing, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands in, you know, what's the next edge? Where can I really gain the edge in this marketplace in order to win a lot more business? And this is it, guys. It's about going back to basics and thinking like the customer and really submersing yourself in their world. And again, this was something that when I was in hotel sales, because you're too close to your own business, it can be very hard to see and to develop that third eye, so to speak. So this is what I have done. I've done all the hard work for you folks. And I've developed How the Buyer Buys. It is the Steps to Win program. And I'm going to walk you through a few of these steps in order to share with you some essential strategies that you can put into place in your business straight away to help you win a lot more confidence meeting and event business. And I spend a lot of time in the first 3 steps in particular. Why? Because that's where 80% of loss of leads are lost, in these first 3 steps. And what's essential here, guys, is it's about getting a yes at each step of the client's decision-making process, because you can find that you get right up to the end and you're just, waiting, anxiously waiting for that yes or that phone call to say, yeah, we're going ahead with your venue. And then you may get that devastating news that no, they've chosen the competitor. And what I have found from being on the buyer side is that it's because we didn't get a yes at some of the very early stages of their decision-making process.
So
now, Justine is...
Kiera,
yeah.
just one moment. Apologies to stop you there. Just one request that's come in. We've got a banner at the bottom of your presentation which says "Go to Meeting Screen Sharing." Could you just hit the high? That's wonderful, because some of the with some of the text we were just missing out on that slide. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. There you go. There you go. Okay, so this works, folks. Justine is, she is a client of mine who implemented it, but most importantly, she's on the agent and the buying side. She's a PCO. She runs a big agency of 25 agents that book events throughout the world. And she said that the steps to win helps to engage in a more proactive way with clients and, of course, ultimately convert more business, because that's what we're all about. Now, we've put together a little workbook, a little assessment tool to help you just, work along with us and do some of the thinking while you're on the call today. And I'm just going to be asking you to mark you or your team out of 10 in the different areas that I walk you through. Because let's say at the end of the call, you're looking back on it and you're saying, I only gave myself a 5 or a 6 in this area, then that is an area where you can start to do some work and get different results straight away. And for all those people who are going to be super engaged and asking questions or participating and sharing some of their knowledge on the call, I'm going to offer a free copy of my book, and we'll post that out to you afterwards once we analyze who's been chatting the most in the chat box there. So feel free, guys, this is your term also. So what is step 1? It is all about standing out. It's about standing out and sounding different. And this is really essential, guys, because planners have given me feedback that it's all starting to blur, that hotels and venues are starting to sound the same because they're using a lot of the same terminology. And also, once one person builds something or introduces a certain technology, it's really easy for the competitor to do that also. Now, this is something that a lot of, when I run workshops around the world, that sales managers, sales directors say to me, well, how can I stand out? How can I sound different? And this is a fabulous step, because this gives you opportunity to start taking back control of the sales conversation. And I feel that has been lost in our industry. And it's really about developing out your questioning technique and how you are strategically and systematically building the relationship with the client. Now, when we're asking better quality questions, folks, what that does is, number one, it helps the client to see why they should trust you. Because if you're asking really great questions that's helping them to think, then they're going to trust you a lot more. So that's the second point. You're helping to give the client clarity on their event. They may have called you, they may have put something together in a rush and sent it off to you because their world is equally as crazy. And by asking them questions, to give them a moment to breathe and think through the event, you are positioning yourself as being of more value. And number 3, you are positioning yourself as being a consultant and a trusted advisor. We do not need more salespeople in this industry. It is changing. And in my book, I write a whole chapter on how this sales role is evolving. We need to develop trusted advisors and consultants and educators, and being part of the IAC community really gives you that edge, because they've done so much of the research and have wonderful papers written and videos created on how to educate the client on how to run an even better event. And a great pitch, guys, is not about closing the sale, it's about opening up the conversation and allowing the client to think and speak about their event. And of course, listening and knowing what to do with those brilliant answers. So let's look for a minute at how we can stand out with the IAC difference, as I call it. We have space, first of all, that's designed for meeting and conferences. It's not ad hoc put together and there's 10 weddings happening at the weekend. It's not a wedding venue that's been made to look like a conference space. For example, I go to a networking event on a regular basis and they have curtains like this up. And yes, they push them to the side for the corporate event, but you can still see signs that it's such a wedding venue everywhere. Even the chairs that you sit on have chair covers on it, like as in a wedding event. And of course, this sends alarm bells to conference planners. Now, I know this particular venue wants a lot more meetings and conference business to fill their venue 7 days a week, but that's not going to happen with this kind of decor. So you have very much the edge with meeting space designed for conferences and events, because it's a very different market. And when the planner sees that you get that, it immediately is building trust and confidence with them. Networking space. IAC venues have designed networking space to help people to connect. What's the number one reason why people go to events? It is to connect. And Mark has spearheaded a fantastic report on meeting and event space of this future. And with planned breakout space, there's more and more breakouts happening in the conference industry, and it's essential that you're talking about that. Designed and transparent food and beverage offerings. We have the coffee breaks that are continuous. It's a fabulous offering to the conference client. And what I love about Dulce and the work that Dolce Hotels are doing is with developing nourishment hubs. Doesn't that sound so much better than food station? So it's really about being confidently able to look a client in the eye and talk about the IAC difference. 24-hour rate.
Clara, one moment.
Yeah.
Just have a question, if I can use the opportunity to, just a suggestion that's come in from Tamara. Tamara's talking about an approach, that she started doing, which is offering ways on how they can collaborate and partner with them to earn the business for all of their business. So for a series of business by the sounds of things. So taking what Tamara's highlighting is, offering a partnership on how they can help each other. So approaching it in a true partnership proposal, as opposed to just dealing with a need that they perceive the client to have, is something that's resulting in a great exchange of information. So that's just something that's working for them, and Tamara wanted to share. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Tamara, and it's fantastic strategy. We can never assume what our client needs, and having that kind of non-salesy conversation and opening up as to how can we partner, what are your challenges, are all really great strategies to take. Flexibility. Every meeting planner wants to see flexibility, and when it's built into the IAC culture, it's a wonderful peace of mind to give them. Of course, you can boast that you have staff that are experts in this market and specially trained, which of course leads to longevity of the team at the property, so that there's a consistency there with the client, with repeat business, and of course the technology standards and what is has to be built in to a venue in order to earn its certification and be approved as an IAC venue. So let's play a little game, guys. I'm going to draw a picture, And I would like you to guess what that is. Okay, so you have to ask me questions and guess what it is that I have drawn. So use your chat box there, and let's see how many questions it takes. Okay. Have we got any questions there yet, Mark?
Is it an animal?
Is it an animal? No.
Is it living?
Is it living? No.
Tracy is asking, is it a geometric shape?
Yes, you could say that.
Shannon Calendar is asking, what colour is it?
It can vary. It can be any color you want it to be, Shannon.
Susan wants to know if you can eat it.
No, definitely not.
Janine is asking, what texture is it?
It's durable, quite hard.
Felicia is asking, is it big?
It can be, yes, yeah. Generally would be bigger than an adult.
Katie Cowell saying, is it a room set?
No, it's not a room setup, but it is linked to a room. Give you 2 more questions.
Adam Murray is asking, is it furniture?
Not furniture, no, but you're getting warm. It's an essential part of a room.
Elliot is asking, is it a screen?
No, it's not. It is, I'll put you all out of your misery. It's a door. I drew a door. And I play that game, guys, because you will notice a theme in all of those questions. They were yes or no questions that people asked me. So it wasn't allowing me to elaborate or to describe what it is that I have drawn. If you had asked me to describe what I have drawn, I would have told you. If you had asked me, what did you draw, Kira? You know, I would have told you. But the point here is, guys, with our questioning technique, in developing that with a client, we need to develop more open-ended questions to encourage conversation, to open up this conversation, as I say, and become and position ourselves as more of that consultant, getting the client to talk. I met Molly Marsh at the MPI World Education Congress there last year, and I told her about what I do, the work that I do with hotels and venues. And you know, she was really excited about it. But she said this, she said, I feel hotels and venues are too busy. It's not in their culture to ask deeper questions. There is a disconnect between the event and when I get on property, it means that it's more work for her. So we clients, when you earn their trust to get that conversation, they do want to engage with you. And I've developed a killer question technique. It's our conversation that converts technique. There's about 30 questions which you never ask the client all at the one time, but this is all designed to give you control of the conversation so that you can be that expert, you can position yourself as that expert or that consultant and that trusted advisor, which ultimately takes the focus off rate and helps you to get better rates. Blair here, she said she felt more confident in her one-to-one appointments. She was going to, you know, a trade show where, you know, planners meet an awful lot of salespeople and hear a lot about different venues. But she said one planner thanked her and told her that she was a breath of fresh air and thanked her for not reciting property information and being actually interested in them. So it really does work here. And Lara from Microsoft, I met her at a conference during the summer, and she said that I know by the questions I am asked if they're going to understand me and my event and deliver the event as planned. And when you gain that confidence, that's what's going to help you to get the better rates. And, you know, be the kind of salesperson that you want to be. We got into sales in order to be in conversation with people and not just be responding to RFPs and all of that. So I feel very strongly that we have to stop the dates, rates, and space conversation. Yep. Was there a question there, Mark?
There's a couple coming in here, so you're definitely singing the same tune. Matthew said, that he wishes that he'd got more time to spend with the client, but the demands on his time are restricting that. So that's just to your point there. And and he follows up to say a tip. Why not ask to go to one of their sessions whilst it's going on at your venue? So this is the session for the conference taking place at the venue, and see what it is they're actually doing, and then see, and then being better equipped to partner with that client in the future. I've got another comment from another person, but just any feedback on that, Kiera?
Absolutely. I think they're great strategies. The thing is, once you get the client's attention and then you get their interest, then it is easier to carve out more time. It's happened to me again and again that somebody says, look, I only have 10 minutes, but they're in this rush mode. But once you get them to calm down or slow down and ask these questions that are helping people to think. I've had planners say to me, wow, I've never been asked that question before. That's a great question. And then they do want to give you their time because they're making an investment in their event ultimately. But you have to earn that time. And yes, Matthew, it is harder and harder to do that. And that's why in the second step, we're going to talk about developing out more sales tools that help you to do that. So real quick, folks, on step 1 there in your workbook, give yourself a mark out of 10. How much does your venue in your pitch really stand out and sound different? So moving on to step number 2, guys, is building our Power Sales Toolkit. And this, yes, is about helping to position yourself from a distance and being this consultant, this expert, because strategy gives you direction, but it's the tools that are going to help you to get there quicker. And when I went to the other side, when I became a venue finder a number of years ago, which I no longer do, by the way, but when I developed this third eye, I could see, because every single day I was using the tools of a venue in order to make a decision. Will I contact them? Will I invest the time in calling them, or will I just send an email or not even put them on my list? So your teams, your sales tools are what will distinguish your venue, because that's what a planner uses every day to help them make a decision. And this is such an important step that it takes time to develop these out. But once you get them right, then it's going to pay off for you over and over again. So we've spoken a little bit about the pitch, and it's essential to tap into the emotions behind the sale, because it's been proven that we make decisions based on how you make somebody feel. So conversation, yes, you're going to impact somebody, but the tools, if they're built correctly, can impact how somebody feels, because you need to design them as a resource rather than, you know, a salesy brochure. Okay. There's a fabulous TED talk by Simon Sinek on the why and the power of why, if somebody wants to look into the emotions behind the sale. But the Association of Incentives have released some comprehensive research recently on planners making decisions based on emotions, even though we hear constantly that it's rate driven. A client will say to me that they make a decision based on rate if they don't see the difference between one venue and the next. And of course, that makes sense. You would do that yourself. I know from trawling thousands of websites in my venue finding days, that when I found a web page that I was excited about, that gave me the information up front that I needed in order to say, yes, I'm going to contact them, or no, I picked up the phone straight away because I was excited. And I had my fingers crossed, Mark, hoping that they had my dates available. And, you know, of course, those kind of leads are a lot easier to convert. Floor plans, I don't have time to go into it in detail today, but they're the secret weapon in this industry. They're extremely powerful conversion tool. And proposal, I'm going to talk about that in another little bit. But real briefly, let's look at your IACC sales toolkit. You will hear building trust an awful lot. Your logo, are you using that? Are you talking and shouting about this certification that you have earned, and the rigorous processes that and standards that you have gone through in order to be considered one of the top % meeting venues in the world? That's what you are as an IACC member. And it automatically says something to a client. If they know in advance what IACC is, great. If they don't, even better, because you can tell them. But importantly, I have to say, guys, you can't start off a conversation, let me tell you all about IACC, because I know from having listened to thousands of pitches that I switch off very quickly, and I might go, you know, blah, 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 blah. That's exactly what I'm hearing. We need to engage them first with these conversation techniques, with these questions, and then be able to talk and match how relevant your venue is to their needs. Proof, everybody needs proof. There's some wonderful videos and an IACC video put together where 3 planners are talking about why they love IACC venues. Of course, there's fantastic training and education. There's even more training and education coming up this year, and we'll share some of that with you towards the end. It's a world-class research and report opportunity for you guys. And are you sharing that with your planners? Mark is going to put up some links to his research on the meeting room and space of the future. It's a fantastic opportunity to read through that, see what's really trending and happening in the industry. And there's other resources there, such as the internet guide, that kind of thing, that you can be sending out with your proposals, folks. You have an automatic community in which you can share wins, share challenges, pick up the phone to people. We can share link love, get active on social media, so that you have 330 odd venues around the world that know about you, that you are building a relationship with. And if a client of theirs says, you know what, I'm looking for a venue in Philadelphia, I'm looking for a venue in France, can you help me? That you can immediately say, yes, I know Matt, or I know Juan at this venue, and let me connect you. Okay, it's a powerful community to tap into. The IACC website venue page, it's a lead generator, guys. Do you have the best descriptions up there? And there's a dedicated PR agency that will help you in your PR needs. So tap into that, guys. Okay, these are clients of ours, clients of mine. Wheatwood Hall, they converted a piece of business worth 250,000 within weeks of doing the program. Why? Because they changed their conversation. The client just walked into their property that day. They also walked into 3 other big brand properties, but they didn't win it. The smaller independent property won it. Step number 3, guys, is how to write proposals that win. And this was my first job in San Francisco. I was a sales coordinator for 2 very busy sales managers, and I felt like this a lot of the time. Yes, it was the 90s. Yes, there was a lot of paperwork. We had to fax proposals out and then post them. And I hated filing, still do. And so they would just end up being stacked up on my desk. But I never took the time to ask my sales managers, what do I need to put in this proposal to make sure that I win it? And if I had asked that question an awful lot more, we would have won a lot more of the business, and of course would have had to send less proposals in the first place. And when I became a venue finder, then I was reviewing thousands. I have reviewed thousands of proposals over the last 10 years. And what I found when I put together my specs and I listened to the end client, to the meeting planner, put together everything that they needed, sent it out to the hotels and venues. What I found was what I received back wasn't enough. The proposal wasn't enough to convince the planner why I felt that it was the right venue and at least worth a site inspection. So I had to do all this work in the middle and rewrite descriptions, hop in the car, take my own photographs, get videos, all of that kind of stuff to prove that it's at least worth a site inspection. So then I decided, you know, why am I doing all this work? Nobody's paying me for it. And that's how I started to write the book, out of pure frustration, because I love this industry. We work in an amazing industry, and it was killing me to see why business was being lost. So following these steps is going to help you to win a lot more. And Bex here will say, you know, she's stuck in a rut of just churning out proposals. You can always tell when the date and the rate and the client's name has been changed on the proposal and it's just sent out. Taking a step back really helped her to remember what she loved about her job, which of course is focusing on the client. And I have you know, some wonderful education coming up that's going to help you to do that. But share with us perhaps, guys, what are the biggest frustrations that you have with proposals right now? Because I understand there's a lot going on in your world. Heather, Director of Sales of 6 Properties, you know, she was chasing the same client for 3 years, asked every year to fill out an RFP, never won it. But she made 3 key changes to her proposal. She also changed how she spoke about her property, and boom, she converted 75% of that client's business for the year. So let me share with you 3 of the big problems that I see with proposals in our industry. Number 1, the first paragraph. It's the most important part of the proposal, and you need to make it all about the client. Yet 90% of proposals tend to be all about the property, okay? And we need to change that around. So I did a little test a year ago, and I sent out an email to about 500 sales professionals and directors, and I asked them, if a client was sitting beside you when you were filling out their RFP for their meeting, what questions would you ask them? And these were the common questions that came back. And my question is, and my thought is, if everybody is asking the same questions, how can you stand out? You probably will be filtered out based on rate. And even, I know that they should have given you the answers to this, first of all, in their brief, that the RFP isn't always as detailed as it could be. But, you know, if we're asking the same questions, we probably won't get a response, and you're just sending off an RFP and hoping that you're going to win the business. What I've learned, guys, is the better quality questions you ask, the better quality answers you're going to get. And key, of course, is what we do with those answers. If your proposal, the first paragraph, looks like this or this, stop sending it. You need to rejig it, you need to revamp it, and make it all about the client, which I know can be hard to do sometimes on your own. But you can see here, the first paragraph, the client they're used to this. Most proposals are like this, and they're just reading blah, 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 and they skip straight to rate. And then all of a sudden you find the conversation is all about rate. So mark your team's proposal out of 10 there, and yeah, again, this is just between you and the piece of paper. Perhaps it is an area that you can improve on, because 80% of leads are lost in these 3 steps. Now, if you want to go deeper, guys, if you want to learn this conversation that converts technique, if you want to figure out how to sound different, how to change your approach, IACC have partnered with MPI on the new Venue Sales Certificate Program, and that is available to you at a discounted rate at the MPI rate. There's 2 versions available. The on-demand, you can buy it today and off you go. You can have it all done in a few hours. Or in March, they will be launching an instructor-led program by myself. These these are my my steps to win program essentially, and you'll have live Q&A sessions where you get to ask questions and I give you feedback and help you to change your proposal and your pitch and all the rest.
So
What's key,
Ciara,
folks, is it's
sorry,
yes.
Ciara, if I may, just quickly, one point from Matthew, he said that the agency proposals are so time consuming to fill out. And I'm guessing that that is probably an hour-long webinar in its own right, but just, just to highlight that, that's helping build the pressure. And also, Elliot asked a question. I think you've answered it. Elliot was just interested to know what does what do we say to win that pitch, in terms of dear client, what is that first paragraph? But Elliot, if Ciara hasn't answered that already with the slide she shared, let us know. And then lastly, another comment, does anyone use KX proposals as part of Kinetic Solutions? Does anyone find that useful? I mean, I can answer that on your behalf a little bit, Ciara, just to say that KX tends to be mostly used in the United Kingdom in terms of a solution. So I'm sure within those that are joining us from the UK, that may well be something worth picking up. And maybe it's a forum question, Matthew, that we can add to the IACC forum and get some conversation around that.
Okay, fabulous. With reference to the question about the first paragraph, that's not something I can answer straight away because it will vary according to the client. It will vary according to the conversation that you had in the client with the client, and then you tailor make and you personalize their proposal based on that. And a lot of the answers, or how that will become super clear, is in the module on how to have conversations that convert. And of course, the ability to open up that conversation in the first place with building the right kind of sales tools. That's a whole other webinar in itself, but fabulous question. Step number 4, stop the leaky sales funnel. Every business manages to build a funnel that has leaks, and it's about trying to fill those leaks. And the more of the right kind of leads that you put into your sales funnel, the more of the right, and of course the profitable business that's going to come out. And that's what we're in right now. It's all about profitability. That's what management companies are looking for. That's what owners are looking for, profitability. And we need to be positioning ourselves to attract more of the profitable pieces of business. And of course, what's the nurturing system that you put in place? So we dive into the database and all the gold mine that is, and essentially match your sales process with the buying process of the client. Because I feel very strongly, guys, that generating more leads is not the quickest route to profitability. Everybody is overloaded. Most people are swamped with leads from some source, in particular from third-party agencies, and you can turn into Bex and just be this person churning out proposals and hope just getting it done and have that feeling of relief that you have it done. Or we can be working in our zone with more of the right kind of clients that are ours to convert, and getting our strategy and our profitability and our growth plan in place comes down to some of these 4 areas here: our strategy, our technique, our power sales tools, the relationships, building relationships that are of value to the client and not being that salesperson, and of course positioning yourself in the marketplace and having IACC certification and that trust symbol behind you always helps with that. So real quick, guys, what's your win rate? What's your conversion rate? And of course, what would you like it to be? And that's the answer for step number 4 there. How happy are you with your conversion rate, with the power of your sales funnel? Give yourself a little mark out of 10 there. And step 5 is the wow show round, the wow site inspection. Again, I've been on hundreds, if not thousands, of site inspections, and sometimes I really wish that I hadn't given my time to the salesperson to walk around their venue. It has to be a wow, guys. There are too many average site inspections in our industry, and planners get really frustrated if it's not a wow, if it isn't shown that you're respecting their time and that you are showing how eager you are to win their business. You cannot let them out of your venue without them being able to visualize how it will work. Okay, so again, give yourself a mark out of 10 in that area, and just look back for a minute, guys. Look back at your results and where do you think are the areas for opportunity, because with this sales and marketing program, with this process, with these steps, guys, it's about getting a yes at each step of their decision making process. And there's lots of examples of success out there. I hear a lot of frustrations from sales managers, but that's just what our industry is. But it's all ERFPs, but we can't change it. And you're just trying to work harder and faster to get more done. We got to change the way we're doing it in order to get different results. And we have to change because the buyer has changed the way that they buy. But have you or your team changed the way that you sell? And if you haven't, your revenue results will be dramatically affected, because everything has changed so much in the last 2 to 3 years, and it's rapidly changing in 2018 and 2019 and the next coming years.
Kiera,
so guys,
if I can,
yes.
Whilst you pause for breath for one moment, a observation. Tamara said, one eye catcher would be to start off the discussion with the client on the site inspection by letting them know that you acknowledge what the company and organisation is. By just doing that initial homework on their website is really insightful in terms of connecting them, and that little bit of homework really does pay off. Something, letting them know you've taken time to learn more about what they do, where they've held their meetings in the past. You can normally find that on your on the events part of the website of the client that you're just about to do the site inspections for. So again, just reinforcing what you're saying, but showing how one of our members really does get a lot of benefit from that. Also, Matthew, asked a question, is there any tips for WOW show rounds? And I think the answer to that is that you've got a webinar learning program later, this year that will be focusing in on site inspections. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's a module that I do that takes maybe about an hour and a half, and it's about putting the thought. And I think what's key also, Matthew, is putting a system in place so that it's easy to make the wow happen, that the wow becomes a standard, and that if you do have an unexpected site inspection, that you can just make one phone call and your team know what to put in place, how to make it a wow. Virtual site inspections, I think, are a key area to start getting comfortable with also, because it's harder and harder to get people to that site inspection stage. And you need to prove to the planner that you're not going to waste their time. The days of the planners having a 2-day luxurious site tour visit to a city, to an area, and visiting a number of different properties is fast going away, is fast diminishing. They don't have the budget and they won't take the time. You got to help the planner to visualize what their event is going to be like in your venue from their laptop, from their phone. And are we thinking through that? So that's an essential part of that. So we're coming up to the hour, guys. I want to be respectful of your time, but we want to make sure that it was productive. So take a minute. What is your next step to achieve this, guys? What are you taking from the last 57 minutes of your life? Look back over your notes. What is the one thing that you're going to do different? And we'd love it if you shared that with us, but write it down. Write it down, because there's a very powerful connection between the hand and the brain, and writing something down helps you to commit to it and remember it. And if you share it in the forum, that would be even better. So take a minute, guys, and decide what is the one thing that you're going to do different. And perhaps it is to be the best in your industry and to take advantage of the fabulous training programs that are out there. I certainly would be honored to have you in the next cohort of the venue sales certificate program. My personal advice would be, Mark, I work for myself and I invest probably about 5,000 a year in my own education, because every time I do, I get better at something and I'm loving what I do even more. But when you're working for somebody else, when you have somebody else's training budget, my advice would be take the opportunity, seize the day, and ensure that you are being invested in because you deserve it, okay? The marketplace is changing and we have to keep up and change with it. Quick little story here, guys, on my dad and partnership, right? He's recently kind of semi-retired. I was up visiting my parents and my mother called me and she said, Kira, come here, look at this. She said, look, this is your father's contribution to retirement. He made his half of the bed. And she couldn't believe it, you know. I couldn't believe it either. My father, when I said it to him later, I took the picture, I said it to him later, and he said, yeah, wasn't I great? I made my half of the bed. My mother has been making the whole bed for 49 years. So the point here is, guys, that you can be the buyer or the seller and think like my father that you're doing the right thing and you're being that right partner with your client. But my mother or your clients, the meeting planner, is over here thinking, no, that's not what I need. We can make assumptions and they can be the wrong ones. If you want to go a little deeper, guys, if you want help and clarity on what is the one thing that's going to make the difference, reach out to me, email me, kira@conferenceconverter.com, or just write in the chat box, call me, and we can set up a 20-minute conversation. These are more opportunities for you to learn more of the tips. These are the next series of webinars that I'll be running with Kate and Mark, how to win more leads at industry events. There's a lot more of them coming up in the next few months, and that is happening February 1st. So if you want to, you're investing in trade shows, you want to earn and win more leads, come join us on that on February 1st. And Mark, you're going to put up the link there to the other IACC training opportunities, right?
Absolutely, they'll be on there in 1 second, and also Kate will follow up with that with the link to the video recording of this session and some other great stuff in follow-up. Just in terms of Q&As, lots of great tips that people have been sharing here between each other, which is good, and lots of notes saying that you've shared some really useful insights, Kiara, so that's great to hear.
Cool. There's a few one things coming in. People are going to do something different, right?
It looks that way.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, with that, Kate, my job is done. I hand it over to you. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm thrilled and really respect that you gave me the last hour, and I hope it's been productive for you. Take care.
Thank you very much, Kira. A very insightful, and I think everyone would agree, a very engaging session. As Mark mentioned there, we have recorded this session, so I have that available via the IACC YouTube, or I can email you the link. And the slides, Matthew mentioned before, I will forward you all the slides after the session. And as from today, obviously, if you're encouraged from this session, please take a look at our website under the educational tab for what we have coming throughout the year. Our next session is on the 24th of January, where we'll be giving another 30-minute overview of another sales program that we've got coming in 2018. And that just leaves me to thank you all for giving up your time, for joining us. Hope you found it useful, and we look forward to welcoming you all on another session in the very near future. Thank you.